So without ado, Hank, why don't you tell us about your plan?
Great, thank you. Good morning, everyone. And there is a fuller description of the proposal out in the front as well. It's the Secure Choice Pension White Paper. Now, as Karen mentioned, our proposal, some of you may think is bold, some may think foolish, but certainly I think it's counterintuitive. That in this sort of day and political environment that we would suggest that states might actually have a positive and productive role in retirement. Shocking, right? Well, I think our proposal and the details I'll go over very shortly. What I want to mention is the proposal that we have is very much similar to the 4 proposals that you heard earlier this morning. So to the extent that there are overlapping similarities, I'll sort of gloss over that and highlight where we sort of differ and what makes Secure Choice Pension proposal somewhat unique. I think first and foremost is this proposal is really targeted at small businesses. And we've defined small businesses as those that employ 50 workers or less. And we know that this is a group that is the job creators and the engines of economic growth in our country. Yet, we also know from data and polling and other research that most small businesses do not provide any sort of retirement benefits to their employees. Yet, also, we know from our own polling that small business owners are concerned about retirement security, not only for themselves, but also for their employees as well. And they like a new option. And we think Secure Choice can meet that need. So in terms of detail, Secure Choice, as we envision it, is a public-private partnership. In concept, states as individually or in groups would enact enabling legislation to establish a Secure Choice Pension, or SCP. Effectively, it would be a sister plan to the currently existing public employee retirement system of the state that's currently existing. And it could use the PERS existing structure as the basis to maximize its efficiencies and really clamp down on administrative costs. It would be designed as a multiple employer hybrid defined benefit pension plan. Each SCP would have a board of trustees composed of state, employers, and employees that are participating. So you have this checks and balances of competing interests on the board. The board would hire a chief executive officer and administrative staff. And the board and staff would have fiduciary duty to the SCP trust. Participation would be voluntary. And as we see it, contributions would ideally come from both employers and employees on a 50-50 split level. So in our modeling, we use 6% of pay. So, again, ideally, 3% would come from employers, 3% would come from employees. For participating employers, the administrative and fiduciary duties would largely be removed from them and placed on this new SCP board structure. So in terms of administrative tasks, the employer's really main duty would be to make the employer's portion of the contribution, thus making participation in Secure Choice pensions affordable for private sector employers, both in terms of time and financial costs. While each SCP participant would have notional accounts, all contributions would be pooled and professionally managed for investment purposes, again, as a way of achieving economies of scale, spreading risk, and to negotiate lower fees from investment managers. Now, earlier this year during the presidential campaign, one of the candidates had his 999 plan. We have 753. Now, let me explain that. 7 is the long-term investment return assumption that we're using for Secure Choice. 5 is the crediting rate for participants. And 3 is the minimum guarantee that this plan would provide. So even if we had another 2008, participants would be assured of at least 3% growth. Now, where this plan is effective is the spread between the 7% and the 5%, the long-term interest rate return assumption and the crediting rate for the participants, less 50 basis points for administrative costs. That differential produces an overfunded plan that is effectively a ballast for this plan to be, well-funded and to ride out economic storms of highs and lows. And any returns in good economic times, when there are returns above 7% consistently, that's when participants can then take advantage of the upside as well and get ad hoc dividends. So in terms of advantages of this program, before that, so everything would be annuitized. There is absolutely no cash lump sum distributions. This is not a wealth accumulation plan. And in terms of adequacy, if you do have the book in front of you, if you turn to page 18, you see that from my modeling, the Secure Choice Plan with Social Security and personal savings, including 401ks, gets you to that sweet spot of around between 80 to 90% replacement value that most experts say you need. So in terms of advantages, we think that the model and platform largely exists already for Secure Choice. It's not as if you had to reinvent the wheel to create a new plan. It's state and regional based to allow for specific needs and circumstances of the state or region. And most importantly, small businesses like it. We've done polling of 500 small business owners. 82% of the respondents like this proposal. It's simple, it's portable, it's flexible, and it's predictable. Thank you.
Okay, and before I get to Pamela, I just want to emphasize 2 points about Hank's plan that I just want to make sure was clear, is that in this case, the state is the administrative agent for a new plan for private sector workers. It's not about opening up the public system. And I think
Thank you, Karen. Yeah, that's a point that really needs to be emphasized.
And I also wanted to point out, Mark Every before was talking about testing these things. So the states can be seen as sort of laboratories for expanding coverage. And I just wanted to point that out.